Welcome. I'm so glad you're here. Today, I want to talk about something that's often misunderstood, and that's meditation. When most people hear the word meditation, I think they picture someone sitting perfectly still with a completely empty mind in some sort of a Zen-like state. Or maybe they picture a monk on a mountaintop. And then when they try sitting quietly for themselves and the mind starts racing or the to-do list shows up or the leg falls asleep, they think, I must be bad at this. And I thought that myself when I first started. But here's what I've come to understand. Experiencing some blissful Zen-like state might be the goal for monks, but for the rest of us, that's really not the point at all, or at least it's not the only point. Hi, I'm Elizabeth Cronin, a clinical psychologist and a mindfulness meditation teacher. And in this video, I want to share some of the more practical reasons people meditate. And I believe that you can experience genuine benefits, even if you think you're terrible at it. So when I teach meditation, I like to have a snow globe nearby because it provides such a powerful visual for what meditation actually helps us do. So bear with me for a minute. Imagine your mind is like a snow globe. And when life gets busy with work demands, family needs, endless notifications, old worries, future plans, it's like someone keeps shaking that globe over and over again. And the snow is everywhere. And things become clouded. And we can't see clearly. And when we can't see clearly, we misperceive things. And this can lead to having an overreaction or underreacting. And physically, when we don't know what's coming, we tense up. We brace ourselves for impact. We strain with the effort to control things or to prepare for future problems. So not seeing fully what's actually beneath the snow, we assume the worst: danger, criticism, failure, rejection, all of that before we even know what's truly there. So meditation is simply the practice of setting the snow globe down, just putting it. We're not forcing the snow to stop. We're not smashing the globe to get inside. We're just setting it down and allowing things to settle. And over time, we do begin to see things more clearly. And that really changes everything. So what does it actually look like to set the snow globe down? Well, the basic idea is simple. You find a time and a place where you can sit or stand or even lie down. And you just close your eyes or you lower your gaze. You just want to reduce the sensory noise coming in. And then you begin to just observe the workings of your mind. One of the great meditation teachers, Joseph Goldstein, often says, if you want to understand your mind, sit down and observe it. And really, that's a wonderful place to start. In the beginning, that's all you have to do. Because when we observe the mind, we start to notice how much of our experience, how much of how we feel, what we do, how we react is shaped by our thoughts. And some of our thoughts are useful. I mean, we need our thoughts, they guide us. But others are repetitive. Some of them are just fearful. Many are critical. Some are distracting. And a lot of them are just simply untrue. And as we watch the workings of our mind, we start to notice how much our perception of what's actually happening, our perception of reality, is shaded by past experiences, personal expectations about the way things should be, fears that we have about the future, or the felt pressure to look good or succeed or to somehow stay in control. And because of that, we often react in ways that aren't especially helpful. So becoming more aware of our thoughts is one of the keys to reclaiming more choice in our lives. When you observe your thoughts, you begin to get a little bit of a distance from them. You notice how thoughts seem to have a life of their own. They appear out of nowhere. I think We think we're thinking our thoughts, but they randomly just show up. And then they'll linger for a moment or two, and then they'll disappear as another thought shows up. Meditation teachers like to say that the mind is like the sky and thoughts are like the clouds that move through the sky. So, in a way, when you close your eyes, you can just imagine your mind is this open sky and just see what shows up. Because you begin to recognize the thoughts and you notice the automatic stories the mind loves to create based on the thoughts. So, like the thought that someone doesn't like you, and then you make a whole story up about it. Well, it's probably because I did this, or I said that, or I didn't do this. You start to notice this pattern. And over time, you start to realize why you shouldn't believe every thought that you have. And that ability to discern which thoughts are helpful or believable or not, that's a valuable skill. It's not the only skill, because meditation gives us the opportunity to develop other skills that also help us navigate the challenges of daily life. One such skill is being able to pause and not have an automatic reaction. Because when we encounter something unpleasant, whether it's criticism or uncertainty or disappointment or conflict, most of us react automatically. We tend to argue or complain. We might look for someone to blame. We might try to defend ourselves, or we go into fix-it mode. We'll try to do anything we can to make that discomfort disappear as quickly as possible. And sometimes we react so quickly that later we regret what we said or what we did. Or we realize our reaction wasn't actually necessary or helpful, so we expended a bunch of energy that wasn't necessary. So being able to face difficulty without immediately reacting, that's also a skill. And meditation helps us strengthen that skill. So how? How does it do that? Well, because every time you experience an unpleasant thought or emotion or sensation while you're meditating, and when you just sit with it rather than jumping up to do something, you're strengthening the neural pathways that will support you in staying calm during future difficult moments. So again, this is a practical aspect of meditation. You're practicing just being with discomfort and inhibiting the urge to take action. When you first try to sit silently, it can feel really challenging. But over time, I promise you, it gets easier. Anything we practice eventually gets easier. Think about learning how to tie your shoes or drive a car or ride a bike or anything, shoot a basket. At first, it took a lot of effort and you had to do it over and over and over again. But with time, the neural pathways in your brain make it easier. And the same is true for learning how to remain steadier in the face of stress and uncertainty. Sometimes during meditation, you'll notice your back hurts or your stomach will growl and you're hungry and you'll want to jump up and get something to eat. Or your mind will suddenly tell you that there are 10 more important things you should be doing. Or a thought appears that says, why am I even doing this? This is pointless. And every time you notice those thoughts and whatever reaction that follows, and you just continue to sit there, you're practicing something incredibly valuable. Over time, meditation helps you become more comfortable facing discomfort and inhibiting reactivity. Really, it's a skill to stay still while that snow is swirling in your mind. Another important benefit of meditation is becoming aware of how critical the mind can be. The mind is constantly on the lookout for danger or problems. It's just trying to keep us safe. Psychologists call this the negativity bias. Our brains are naturally wired to scan for potential threats, and this helped our ancestors stay alive. But in modern life, it often means we are assuming the worst before we confirm what's actually true. When we don't find ways to balance this negativity, we can become hard on ourselves and hard on others. And when we begin to notice that critical inner voice and we just bring awareness to it instead of automatically believing it, something softens. We become less controlled by that critic. We begin releasing the judgments that we have toward ourselves and the judgment towards other people and other situations. So again, it's another skill to recognize when we're being harsh and to soften how we respond. So through the practice of meditation, we begin to recognize that thoughts, emotions, impulses, and reactions, they're all a part of that snow swirling around inside the globe. And as we become more comfortable staying present in the middle of that swirl, we become more empowered to pause, to wait, to slow down and let that snow settle so we can see clearly before deciding how we want to respond. You shift out of that constant fight or flight mode into something steadier, calmer, and more grounded. And you'll start to feel a little less reactive, a little less defensive, less like you have to compete or protect yourself all the time. So that even helps you feel a little more connected with others. So over time, you really notice something really quite profound. And that is when you sit and observe your mind, you realize that there's a thought, but there's also this awareness of the thought, this ability to notice the thought. And that distinction gives you some space between you and your thoughts. And that's incredibly powerful because in that space, there's the opportunity for more choice. There's more clarity, more freedom in how you respond. And that is a key reason why people meditate. It's not to escape life. It's not to be some perfectly Zen-like person. It's about a way to meet life differently. And we're not trying to become someone else. We're just trying to be the better version of ourselves. So if you've ever tried meditation and given up because you thought you were doing it wrong, I hope this helps. Remember, you don't have to empty your mind. You don't have to become perfectly calm. You just have to keep sitting and just imagine setting that snow globe down. That's enough. Okay. If this resonated with you, I'd love to hear about it in the comments. And if you found this helpful, feel free to share it with someone else. Thank you so much for being here. Until next time, take care and be well.